Jackson had served aboard the Celestial Horizon for 3 standard years, but nothing in his training had prepared him for the moment Elizabeth casually mentioned her mother's approval. The observation deck hummed with the soft vibration of the ship's quantum drives as Jackson stood beside his Valkyrie crewmate, both gazing at the swirling nebula outside. Elizabeth's bioluminescent patterns flickered across her crystalline skin in shades of amber and violet, colors he'd learned to read as contentment. "My mother likes you," Elizabeth said, her voice carrying that melodic resonance unique to her species. Jackson froze mid-sip of his coffee. The cup hovered near his lips as his brain processed the seemingly innocent statement. Among humans, such words were casual. Among the Valkyrie, they carried weight that could shift the trajectory of lives. "Your mother?" he managed, setting the cup down with exaggerated care. Elizabeth's head tilted, her 4 eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture of confusion. "Yes, she reviewed the cultural exchange reports from our missions. She finds your approach to problem-solving refreshingly chaotic and your loyalty worthy of the old clans." The old clans. Jackson's hands had gone cold. He'd studied Valkyrie culture extensively during his anthropology courses, but studying and experiencing were vastly different things. The old clans represented the highest tier of Valkyrie society, families whose lineages stretched back millennia, who still practiced the ancient customs of bonding and alliance. "Elizabeth," he said carefully, "when a Valkyrie matriarch expresses approval of someone her daughter associates with, what does that typically mean?" Her patterns shifted to a confused green-blue. "It means she believes you would be a suitable partner for formal bonding consideration." Why is this strange? Jackson's heart hammered against his ribs. Formal bonding. The Valkyrie took such matters with deadly seriousness. It wasn't merely marriage. It was the intertwining of family lines, the sharing of resources, the mutual defense pact that could span generations. "Elizabeth, I'm human. I'm aware," she replied, her tone suggesting she found his observation redundant. "You've been human since we met." "No, I mean—" Jackson ran a hand through his hair, a nervous gesture Elizabeth had seen him perform countless times. "Cross-species bonding. That's rare. Unprecedented with your people, isn't it?" Her patterns darkened to a thoughtful purple. "Rare, yes. Unprecedented, no. The Valkyrie value strength, loyalty, and adaptability above species. You've demonstrated all 3. She paused, her crystalline fingers drumming against the viewport. "During the Cresian Station crisis, you threw yourself into the reactor coolant to manually seal the breach. You suffered radiation burns that would have killed most species, yet you continued until the civilian evacuation was complete. Anyone would have." "No," Elizabeth interrupted firmly. "Our Valkyrie engineers calculated a 94% fatality probability. They were preparing to abandon the station. You didn't abandon it. You didn't abandon the 3,000 souls aboard. 287 of them were Valkyrie children from the colony ships." Jackson remembered that day with crystal clarity. The alarms, the heat, the way his skin had blistered inside the containment suit. He'd acted on instinct, not heroism. Someone had to do something, and he'd been closest. "The Council of Matriarchs received the full report," Elizabeth continued. "My mother sits on that council." She said, "Any being willing to sacrifice themselves for Valkyrie young possesses a spirit worthy of our people." Her pattern shifted to warm gold. She said, "You think like a human, but act like one of the ancient warriors." "That's quite the compliment," Jackson said weakly. "It's the highest compliment a matriarch can offer," Elizabeth corrected. She stepped closer, and Jackson caught the faint scent of ozone and honey that always accompanied her. "Jackson, do you find my company unpleasant?" "What? No, you're my best friend on this ship. Probably my best friend anywhere." "Then why do you seem distressed by my mother's approval?" How could he explain the complexity, the fear of inadequacy, the cultural weight, the sheer impossibility of living up to Valkyrie standards? His people were still struggling with basic interstellar travel, while the Valkyrie had mastered dimensional folding. They lived for centuries while he'd be lucky to see 90. Their society valued honor and tradition in ways humanity had largely abandoned. "I'm afraid I'll disappoint her," he admitted quietly. "Disappoint you?" Elizabeth's patterns flared bright white in surprise. "Jackson, you pulled me from a collapsed mining tunnel on Xerx 7. You talked me through my first encounter with human jazz music. You taught me to appreciate the organized chaos of Earth literature." Her hand found his, cool and smooth against his calloused palm. "You've never disappointed me. Not once. But formal bonding consideration, that's serious. That's family and politics, and it's also a choice," Elizabeth said gently. "My mother's approval opens a door. We don't have to walk through it, but Jackson." Her patterns softened to rose pink. "I would like to consider it, if you're willing." Jackson looked at their joined hands, human and Valkyrie, flesh and crystal, impossible and yet utterly natural. The celestial horizon shuddered slightly as it entered slipstream, beginning its journey to the Andromeda Relay. Outside, stars blurred into ribbons of light. Inside, Jackson made a decision that would have seemed impossible just 3 years ago. "I'm willing to consider it too," he said. Elizabeth's patterns exploded into brilliant rainbow cascades. "Pure joy. Then I shall inform my mother. She'll be pleased. She's already begun preparing the traditional compatibility assessments." "There are assessments?" "7 of them. Don't worry. The physical endurance trial is only moderately lethal." Jackson's eyes widened. "Moderately?" Elizabeth's laugh chimed like crystal bells. "I'm joking. It's only slightly dangerous. Very slightly." As she led him from the observation deck, chattering excitedly about bonding traditions and family ceremonies, Jackson realized something profound. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or their numbers. It was their ability to adapt, to find connection in the most unlikely places, to build bridges across impossible divides. And if that meant facing 7 Valkyrie compatibility assessments, moderately lethal or otherwise, he'd face them gladly. After all, humans didn't back down from challenges. They never had.